Welcome to The Real Real. I'm your boy Yazi. Shout out to Mac Blair at Smack Talk Productions. Let's get right into this. Today's first topic will be Bill Maher. Bill Maher is a gentleman who I used to be extremely into as an adolescent, as my mother used to play his show when I wouldn't be able to sleep at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, called Politically Incorrect. Politically Incorrect was a show that had a lot of liberal and leftist views, and then would have varying voices on and talk about issues that were, you could guess it, politically incorrect. So you kind of get a baseline of where he's coming from then. What we didn't have access to at that time was the internet. At that time, we were just force-fed things, and we just had to accept those. And we were like, oh, yes, this is quality. This is gold. But now it's 2023, and we have kind of been able to see through a lot of those cracks. So we fast forward to his current show, Real Time with Bill Maher, on HBO Max. Scratch out the HBO, because that is dead. It's just Max now. He started off this show by having, I'd say, a pretty wide range of view of guests, varying opinions. But this has actually turned into quite the echo chamber of right-wing fucking goddamn nonsense. He's damn near spewing KKK talking points. It's absolutely insane. One of the things I think that is strange about Bill Maher and Bill Maher's types is they scream about wokeness. Most recently, in an interview with Elon Musk, they had a mild, lengthy discussion about the idea of wokeness. And every time they used the word woke, I personally put the word nigger in, hard R. Because if you just interchange those words, it's like, those are very similar meanings. If you were to just take woke and put it smack dab into 1920, it would just be nigger. It's absolutely crazy. It's the same fucking talking points. So you have these two white men of extreme power saying, I can't say whatever I want. The people, they're talking to me and they're not accepting of what I'm saying. They're so weak and they're so soft. And oh my God, I can't believe that they're not saying great things about me. They're crying because the court of social opinion just don't fuck with they dumbass ideologies any longer. But in reality, their freedom of speech is not being infringed upon in the slightest. Alex Jones is a great example of this. Alex Jones has to pay over $1 billion to families for his false claims of the Sandy Hooks family. That is actually the law intervening and saying what you can and cannot say about people or a person and getting involved. It's not getting paid by Max to say crazy things, to get Elon Musk on your show, and to then be able to continually say more crazy things that are going to be broadcast to the world. That doesn't seem like your speech is being infringed upon in the slightest. Just seems like society is getting more wise. What do you see? More woke. And since we are getting more woke, we see that you're very tired. Very tired, and it might be time for you to go to sleep. So there was this in particular interview for several years ago, and it was in between Ben Affleck and Bill Maher. It was on the Real Time with Bill Maher. I just want to say, fuck the Real Time with Bill Maher. I'm coming for that. I would love that position, and I'm going to get that one day. So he had this interview with Bill Maher, and they were talking about xenophobia and the things that Bill Maher and this other right-wing gentleman were saying about Islam were absolutely insane. They were saying Islam in general all of it is completely wrong. They're violent. All of their ideologies are just used to make the world a better or a worse place. And shout out Ben Affleck. I didn't even know he was like this, but he was actually standing up for Muslim people. And it was even weird because there's three white dudes talking about Islam and brown people, and no Muslims or brown people are on set or in the conversation. So it's even weird in the first place, but at least somebody was there to, in some type of a reasonable defense. And he even said, well, what if we put Jew into these things that you're saying? Stingy Jews. All of you were like this. How is it okay for you to say this about all Muslims? And they literally said, no, you're not hearing us. Wait, what are we not hearing? We're hearing everything. So that segues into the next topic. Anti-Semitism versus xenophobia. So I brought up Ben Affleck bringing up the examples if he would just to put the Jewish tropes into how they were speaking of Muslim tropes, how they are eerily the same. And so that made me pose this question to myself. How come anti-Semitism is a career and life ender and will get you shunned from society, but being a racist and a xenophobe will not do anything at all, really, to your reputation as long as you just lay low long enough? And if you're xenophobic, you actually don't have to lay low. You can be openly xenophobic. I'm reminded of an episode of The Real Time with Bill Maher, of where he had Yasin Bey on there, formerly known as Mos Def. And I was so disappointed in Yasin Bey because he is a devout Muslim. And he was allowing Bill Maher to say very, very disparaging and crazy things in his presence about Muslim people. And I lost a little bit of respect for him because I'm like, no, he shouldn't even be allowed to get any of these words out. Not a single one of them should be allowed to get out. And he was continually allowing more xenophobia to just be spewed from his mouth. And I was truly, truly disgusted. But if Mos Def were to say, well, the actual real statistics are that Jewish people do own the majority of the largest banks in America because of how the Jewish people were treated in America. They weren't allowed to do certain work. And so for some reason, because Americans are absolutely stupid, Flower Ranger Americans, I should say, are so stupid that they said, no, you can't do physical labor and you can't work in our homes, but you can take care of all of our money. And so many people, not all, but many people from the Jewish community were then allowed to have access to all of the riches of being directly involved in the wealth of banking. What do we know about banking in the United States of America? It's one of the most racist institutions in all of America. When you actually look at the statistics of any type of loans, from home ownership to trying to get farm loans, it is a disparaging amount of how black people are treated to every single other race. You have to go through crazy hoops to get a loan if you're black. If you're white, there are no hoops. It's just you're instantly trusted here to sign at the fucking dotted line. So that's a discussion that actually should be talked about. But if Mos Def were to bring that up, I promise you in that instance, well, that's anti-Semitic. And it's crazy because when I brought it up, there's no all Jewish people. It's just specifically the banking Jewish people that withhold money and wealth from black people. This is a fact. That's okay. But stating that fact makes you anti-Semitic. Same person, though, who calls you anti-Semitic can say Islam is a crime against fucking humanity. What? Somebody got to add these fucking numbers together because it's not making no sense whatsoever. How can a people who know recently about the Holocaust then go and say those same things that Nazis was saying about your own people? Huh? How come no standard is held? Oh, maybe because flower arrangerness is associated with the Jewish culture and brown and black people more are associated with Islam. Whoa. It's crazy how if you ain't the right hue, it's really gonna be rough for you. You can't do the same shit. It's absolutely insane. Jerry motherfucking Springer. Some would say a Cincinnati legend, staple. I would say quite the opposite. I would say it's okay when certain old people have lived lives of just complete lack of discipline and trampling upon others because they simply can and they come from a different type of wealth. I think the saying is rest in piss. Also, Jerry Springer is a comedian. So this is the funny thing that people don't understand. Comedians expect to not be talked about great when they pass. They spent their whole lives saying like and doing disparaging things to people for laughs. Unless you're like truly great, you're not gonna get a lot of good reaction from that. I'd imagine. So let's get into Jerry Springer. Who was Jerry Springer to Cincinnati? Well, 1977 and 78, he was the mayor. Yes, Jerry Springer was the mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio. He actually did not complete his term as mayor because he got caught with a prostitute. He got caught supporting sex work. How did he get caught? Well, in the 70s, he wrote a physical check to a sex worker for sex work. Probably not the smartest thing ever, am I right? That's the mayor of Cincinnati we're talking about here. Now, that sounds like it could be extremely foolish. Sounds like it could be, man, he really wasn't thinking at all. Or is it more? Let's segue to a man named Simon Lease Jr. Simon Lease Jr. Is arguably one of the biggest terrorists to black people in Hamilton County history. So, in the late 70s, he was the Hamilton County prosecutor. And then in the mid 80s, I think he was Hamilton County commissioner. And then from 1987 to 2012, he was the longest running Hamilton County sheriff in Hamilton County history. During that time, certain things like the Cincinnati riots happened. The gentrification of OTR, the takeover of 3CDC, the removal of folks from the west end of downtown Cincinnati and putting them up in Forest Park and Fairfield and Middletown and displacing them up north. All happened underneath Simon Lease's watch. And guess what? He was the one that helped make legislation to help incarcerate mo niggas during that whole time. Why is this important? Because the Hamilton County prosecutor in 1977, and 1978, and 1979 was Simon Lease Jr. So that means his prosecuting office took their sweet time to prosecute old Jerry Springer. Why? Jerry Springer's a Democrat. Simon Lisa's a Republican. This doesn't make any sense. Until you learn about Simon Lisa's Jr. retirement party. So at this retirement party, he had some of the biggest names in the city. The Castellinis were there. Donald Trump himself actually gave a nice heartfelt video speech to him. And guess who provided them with a comedic roast? Jerry Springer himself. At this roast, he explained how they've been friends for over half of his life. So Jerry was just 79 when he passed. So over half of your life would mean 40 years. 2023. So 2023 minus 40 would be 1983. But you said over. So, wow, you were friends with the prosecutor of Hamilton County when you was writing checks to prostitutes. So you probably wasn't stupid. You probably was just hella protected and was just moving hella crazy because you could. And then, what did you do? You gave poor people crumbs and sprinkles and flew them out to the big city. Gave them a hotel and all this great and dandy shit. So guess what we could do? Watch and laugh at the scripted actions of fucking poor people. Some of them actually weren't scripted. Many of the ones that weren't scripted actually caused severe abuse issues because of certain people outing family members on live motherfucking television. And we saying a dude that provided a whole ass fucking platform to out people is a Cincinnati legend. I'm sorry. You can lick my balls back and forth. That ain't no motherfucking legend to me. Ezra Miller versus Johnathon Majors. So, those who aren't familiar, Ezra Miller is the Flash in the upcoming movie, The Flash Point. I think it's called The Flash Point. Who cares? We'll bring that up in a second. Ezra Miller is known for also being a very intensely abusive human being. Various accounts from partners in which he has been prosecuted and found guilty. And also video evidence of him literally just socking the shit out of people. Just saying, hey, I'm a big fan. Wapa! Whoa, holy shit, Ezra. What the hell is going on? So he is a nightmare of a human being and truly is not deserving and worthy of a position such as the Flash. Johnathon Majors, truly, his role as Kang held Ant-Man, the most recent Ant-Man movie, together. I believe without Johnathon Majors as Kang, that would have been a truly terrible movie. And he made it consumable. He has just allegations at this point. So that's why I don't want to get dangerous. And that's why I want to have this comparison. Ezra Miller has been actually convicted of abuses, found guilty of abuses. Johnathon Majors has not. Just allegations. But the allegations, they seem very concrete. We're getting a lot of evidence and background of him not being quite a good dude, being very manipulative and nasty on sets, being very vindictive and a little bit narcissistic. But these are all traits that you can say about most of the great actors, right? So it's like, that's not distinguishing characteristics. But the reason he's in trouble is because he choked his girlfriend, allegedly. Apparently there's some video that hasn't come out yet, but he's been dropped by talent, his talent agency, which is normally not a very good sign. And he's had all these things just come out at a very peculiar time, and when he's getting these allegations, it's all just funny. That's why there's no guilt. I'm just providing all the information that we have on Johnathon Majors just currently. But none of this is concrete. None of this has been proven. As far as we know right now, it's still hearsay. The difference is Ezra Miller, by the directors and his keepers from DC, they just put him in rehab a couple times. That's all they did. Just put him His talent agency didn't drop him. He's still with the fucking talent agency. I don't know if y'all saw the Flash trailer. That shit looks goddamn amazing. Truly. It looks spectacular. I will go out on a limb, and just from the trailers I've seen, it is probably going to be the greatest live action superhero movie to ever exist. It looks that cold. It's sticking to the actual Flash like comic very, very, very closely. And the animation, the graphics, gotta give Ezra credit. Man, he's kind of killing it on the Flash on the acting tip. I see why they refuse to give up on Ezra. First off is Hugh. We know his Hugh is going to get him off. But as we know about the banks in America, and we will be continuing to know about the banks in America in the very near future, there is a such thing in America, and it's the dumbest shit ever, and it's known as too big to fail. It's the craziest concept because it's called lack of accountability. It's called, if I grow large enough and I do such a good job, they will need me so much that I can go and do whatever I want and be such a shitbag that it doesn't matter because they need me. I'm that big. I'm that great. It is the most insane goddamn ideology that we have here in America. And that's why Ezra Miller is going to continue being the Flash, because that motherfucker going to sell out. People going to switch from Marvel to DC off this movie. It got that type power. They see that power. They see that as a greater thing than him fucking beating the shit out of his partners. Not allegedly, facts. But I can say his counterpart, Johnathon Majors, being a nigga with allegations, is already being dropped by everybody and being thrown out to the motherfucking wolves, and everybody saying his career fucking over. So I just personally think that's extremely funny. I think it's crazy. And if you don't see what's going on, then you need to put on your glasses and you need to start seeing some color. Thank you all for watching the first installment of The Real Real with Yazi, produced and directed by Zoe and Mac Blair. The really, really cool thing truly about this new venture that I'm going on is that I'm trying to prove and going to prove my power and my willingness and wanting to be an actual force in speaking to black people about issues that we should be way more well-versed about, and that I feel like we're boxed out from because there's not really a bunch of people talking about it in a soluble form. So I'm here to literally feed y'all niggas, and I hope that y'all eat it up, because if not, I mean, there's nobody out there that's going to do it, and we all going to sink. And really, it is what it is. Good night, America.